Anchorage, Nax Ramus. Level 60 in fucking 2019. All of these are things that I missed. Things that I missed the mark on. And I'm tired of being behind the curve. I want to be ready for Wrath. That's why I came back. Phase 1 was boring as shit, but I'm back in TBC now. For this reason and this reason alone. I am tired of being behind the curve. When I came back to this dogshit game, I underwent a transformation. An ascendance, the likes of which has only been seen in Mythos. An ascendance that is completely documented. An ascendance that will likely be a 7 or 8 part series including this episode. An ascendance from a rat scraping the bottom of the barrel for gear to a full best in slot menace affiliated with one of the best guilds on the server. You're gonna see that it wasn't without due diligence. Every step of the way, from 67 Greens Andy to Phase 3 Biss and Drew. A true grab of power, the likes of which Grobulus RP PvP will not forget anytime soon. Onto my main character Axe Bodyspray on Fairlina about 7 or 8 weeks ago and found like 20 Alliance players online in total. I checked Ironforge Pro and realized that Fairlina has been overrun by the Horde, probably about 99.8%. Grobulus, on the other hand, had a pretty good faction balance and overall player population, so I spent the money and I moved my characters back to Grobulus. I honestly didn't record my first 2 or 3 days back on Grob. I did a Gruul Mag, spent most of my gold on some cloth epic healing bracers that I quickly replaced, and then I went on the hunt for a guild. See, for all of Classic up until this point, I always had to pug. Due to my old job, I never had the consistency of static work days every week. You have to ask your boss for static work days every week, so that way you can do raid. Otherwise you just have to pug, and then your impression of raid's shitty. I thought it was a chore. So, because of this new freedom, I posted my days in spec on the server Discord, and not long afterwards, I was getting plenty of whispers and DMs. As it turns out, resto druids are in super high demand, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. Cellborn, aka me and my drank, the offhand glaive rogue, the guildmaster of Sweat also, more importantly, reached out to me in-game and told me about his guild. It's hardcore, full consumes, the good stuff, etc. His raid days fit mine closer than any other guild I see advertising, even though I can still hardly manage to make it to raid on time. I joined his guild, and they got to work with haste on getting me ready to do Black Temple. At this point, I was still in the beginning of the Aldor quest chain in Shadow Moon. I needed to kill those elementals, and I died like a bitch trying to do it myself. My comrades came through and annihilated the quest objectives for me. Cellborn told me that I was Sweat's top priority as Team 2's new resto druid, and that I needed to tell them everything that I needed, and that I was griefing if I wasn't doing so. I appreciated the sentiment. As it turns out, he wasn't kidding. After about 5 minutes on waiting... After about 5 minutes of waiting on me to get from each quest objective, he traded me 5,000...
That's fucking wild.
5,000 gold, and I immediately went and got epic flying. I thought I was going to have to do that grind for months to get that, and the GM just took that away, just with the click of a button, just made my life a million times easier. It was at this point that I realized I'm in too deep. It's only been a day or two that I've been back playing this game, but I'm in too deep now. I need to get to work to be ready for Black Temple with a reasonable time frame for them. We got the rest of the Shadow Moon quest done, and I was given the quest from a comma that has you go into TK and disguise yourself as a member of Ashtongue Deathsworn in front of Alar, as well as the quest from Suradormi in the Caverns of Time that had me collect Blood Vial remnants from Kael'thas and Tempest Keep and Lady Badge and SSC, which will let me into Mount Hyjal. That Monday, which was actually Valentine's Day, I set out with the guild and a partial pug to get these attunement quests done. It was at this experience that I realized I was still far from ready. I was summoned as Serpent Shrine Cavern, and I was taken straight to Lady Badge. Now this might be public information now, but I was winging it right then, and I wasn't even doing that successfully. I hadn't done a 25 plus man raid since Blackwing Lair well over a year ago in the time-space continuum, and I just wasn't expecting there to be so much mechanics in this raid. I hadn't read a single guide on how to do it, so I didn't prepare, and also it was Valentine's Day and I was single, so I got high as a kite before I even bothered to log into World of Warcraft. Now, Lady Vash's mechanics, they're just inherently confusing if you don't know what's going on. After you get her down below certain health points, she puts up a shield and summons elementals, and you gotta fight those elementals until the tainted elemental shows up, and he drops the core, and then you have to dunk the core by passing it to someone else, as it makes you unable to move, so you can't. It's just frustrating. So in preparation for this, my guild member Matt, he sent me the tainted core macro, and I told him that I would put it on my bar before we fight her, just because it's essential to the fight. And this guy, he's a homie. He literally played Moonkin that day just so I wouldn't have to go Dream State, because Dream State is ass. I don't know how much I can say fuck Dream State, 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 fuck Dream State. Words cannot express how much I appreciate the patience that my guild had for me that night. Like, seriously, guys. We were in the elemental phase of the fight, and I was healing Najort the Hunter while he was handling his section of the staircase. Things seemed to be going smoothly. I was keeping Najort and the other raid members nearby alive as they fought the elementals, and then one calls Tainted, and they pass it to me. I don't know what to do. I was freaking out, was way too lit, and I was way too ill-researched to even be doing this fight. They kept telling me, pass it to the Boomkin. Remember how I said Matt sent me the Tainted Core toss macro and I said I'd put it on my bar? Well, that's exactly what I forgot to do. I held this core in my hand for at least 45 seconds to potentially well over a minute as I copy-pasted the macro in from Discord, and then at first I accidentally tossed it to Najort, who then tosses it back to me. And at first I have trouble locating them. Like, you can listen to the audio.
Falling star targeted, and then click on it.
Oh, you threw it back to me.
Shit, my bad.
Just toss to Moon. Axe, target the Boomkin over here, bud. Target the Boomkin. See the chicken?
Got it.
Toss to me.
A lot of trouble locating him. I give it to Falling Stars, who is also Matt, the person who sent me the macro in the first place and gave me lots of valuable Resto Druid advice. They dunk the core, the boss gets killed, and it drops the tier 5 helmet that was so kindly awarded to me, and then we moved on to the lurker below. This is the fishing boss down in the water. You literally have to fish until the boss pops above the water line. This boss is easy, but I wouldn't know that. He does this move where he spins and shoots out a really powerful current of water, and it knocks you off into the platform, into the water, and the water causes damage to you, but you'll die if you get hit by the current, so you have to dunk down into the water in the first place so you don't get hit by it. God, don't you love Serpent Shrine Cavern? Can't things just be easy? Can't we just have nice things? Like, seriously. Luckily, movement speed is reduced by something like 20% in tree form, and I was too slow-minded to pop out of it or dash away from the stream, which resulted in my untimely and unfair death. I've actually never not died on this fight. We then went to Tempest Keep, where we died repeatedly to the Dragonhawks at the entrance. It was apparent that we needed a prop paladin to fill that role to handle all of the Dragonhawks. A Sesame Bagel respect to do that. We were also short on healers, as I and another healer were basically getting carried and shouldn't have even counted as healers. It was getting late, and while I was grateful to be there, people seemed to be getting tired. After the minor rearrangements, we got through the packs just fine. We managed to down Alar, who I don't recall dropped anything for me, but I did get the quest done for the Black Temple attunement. We got Void Reaver after, and he kindly gave me his Girdle of Zatar, and then we killed Grand Astromancer Solarian, who so kindly gave me the Star Soul Breaches. Things were starting to get rough, so we called it before we could get the KT, meaning I couldn't get the Hyjal attunement done. I went back to Akama, where he instructed me to kill Rage Winterchill in Mount Hyjal, which means regardless, I need to get back and kill Kael'thas. In the meantime, I've got a lot of shit to do. It was apparent in both my gear and in my performance that I was just simply in no condition to clear Black Temple anytime soon. Selborne made it clear that I needed to be Phase 1 Biz by next week if I wanted to come to Black Temple. Between now and then, I needed to put all my efforts into heroics, grinding out rep, moving heaven and earth to be at the level that I needed to be at for Black Temple. The first thing I did was steam bolts, and lots of it. For an hour or so, I healed a great comp, 2 warriors, a paladin, and a mage. The warriors, Leviathal and Wuv, were fucking pumpers. They made the tank obsolete and gave us some very quick runs. See, steam bolts is typically a drag, but these guys made it incredibly bearable. I hit Revered, allowing me to go into Coilfang Heroics upon the purchase of the heroic key from the Quartermaster at the Cenarian Hold in Zangarmarsh. I had to keep running though until I hit Exalted. I ran several more times, at least 2 or 3 nights filled that week of just doing steam bolts. I usually don't record dungeon spams unless there's something noteworthy about them, like that first run, because it's a waste of space. Dungeons are boring. What did I record though? Remember how I said I did SSC and TK on Valentine's Day? It just so happens that there's a 5-day in-game event on Valentine's Day. Just so happens that at the time I had no girlfriend, and I still don't. Hence the World of Warcraft. It just so happens that the Innkeeper and Stormwind will offer to sell to you in this time period perfume bottles and cologne bottles for 95 copper each. It just so happens that my name is Axe Body Spray, and technically that's a brand of cologne and I'm on an RP server. It just so happens that these items have charges and do not stack, meaning you cannot efficiently stockpile these things on one alt. It just so happens that I created 4 bank alts and gave them each a few bags and bank slots to hold as many of these bottles as I can. It just so happens that it's highly unlikely anyone else in the server is planning on stockpiling these as much as I am before you can't buy them again for a whole year. Wrath could potentially be out by then. And I own an entire high pop server supply of vanity items. It's become apparent that role-playing as a fragrance merchant named Axe Body Spray on this roleplay server would be a great way to go. At 9 in the morning, having not gone to bed from a long night of playing WoW, I spammed an advertisement macro for my wares and someone asked me about it. I explained the quality of my wares and she purchased 2 of them for 20 gold if I recall correctly, and on a 2 silver investment I'd say that's pretty good. I let this get to my head though, because I sent letters to all of the people selling them on the auction house using my bank alt. I told them things like, I see you have a cologne bottle posted on the auction house at 127 gold. You and I both know it won't sell that high. However, I want you to keep it there or raise it. I'll even cover your deposits. Just COD them to me. No one on the server owns as much perfume or cologne as I do. There's simply no competition. I said I needed those things to be listed as ludicrously as possible. All of them. Any perfume you might have as well. I'll even throw in 3 cologne for you. You need to jack those prices up to, or keep them over 100 gold, or I'll take my hundreds of them and I'll flood the market with them at 10 silver per, ruining the fun for everybody. I didn't intend to be a prankster, rather just a trickster. I wanted to be able to tell people when I roleplay as a fragrance man that they are worth more than 100 gold on the auction house, so that way when I offered a free sample and a price of like 20 gold, they'd buy it immediately. Either way, this wasn't very ethical to my potential customers. After I mailed out the threats, I boldly assumed everything was stabilized and that the absolute volume alone would make everything fine. I checked the auction house and the prices went down. It almost felt as if what I had intended to perpetrate actually caused the unintended effect. Give It to Drunk actually mailed me back saying,
Are you some commie or what? I post to increase the gameplay, not your pocket, so go do yourself and enjoy me making players happy rather than making insane prices for no reason. Go to EU servers and do that. We are Americans, and we won't comply to your bureaucracy. Passe.
You know, I'm really not sure what's communist about an effort to make a product appear more valuable than it actually is in order to sell it at an upcharge by buying hundreds of non-stackable items and threatening to crash the market if I don't get my way. I really think people like this should look up the word communist before levying such accusations, as I feel capitalist pig is a much more fitting insult. I'm also not really sure he understands what bureaucracy is, as I'm literally just one dude. I also realized a few days after that I was never going to be able to unload all these bottles. Nobody wants them, the demand's not there, and on top of that, the event just ended, so there really isn't that much scarcity as there could be. I'll just have to wait a few weeks. Alright, enough of this. Back to the point. I got a decent way through Revered running Steam Vaults before my guildmaster traded me a multitude and quantity of Coilfang armaments for the Snarian reputation and Fell armaments for the Aldor reputation. There's just something about reputation grinding in the Burning Crusade that's just so broken. Most rep items aren't soulbound, so you can just buy them on the auction house all the way up to Exalted with minimal to no effort if you got the gold. Turning in all of these mats to their respective quartermasters will get me to Exalted and allow me the privilege to get not only shoulder enchants that give me plus healing power, but also the OP Cenarian offhand for phase 1 that's really good when it comes to healing. And also, I can get as many enchants as I want because of how many mats I turned in. I have plenty of Holy Dust to keep re-upping on enchants when I get new shoulders. I headed over to the Mechanar, where I got enough badges to finally replace my Zul'Gurub necklace. After that, I grabbed the Lower City prayer book once I hit Revered with Lower City. By that point, I had almost doubled my healing power. Although I did work hard to achieve some things for myself, most of the effort really came from my guild. They carried me through so much shit. Heroics, attunements, rep rewards, gold, I really owe it all to them. I may not be ready, but I was getting nearer to the doorstep of the current content raider. I am not just some casual anymore. As soon as I was given the sign-on bonus to sweat, I got in too deep. There's no stopping now. I'm going to walk through Black Temple and kill Illidan's Storm Rage. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I just need to kill Kael'thas and doom out Hyjal, and you will see me do that next week on the road to tier 6 by Axe Body Spray.